Hi, I'm Keith Herron, Dr. Tectock. Today I want to talk to you about how to operate a two-scene preset lighting console. Now this is really one of the simplest ways to run the lights for your show. It may not be the easiest or the most efficient, but it is the simplest. And it's the most available. Every theater you walk into, almost every single console, from the cheapest to the most expensive, can run in a two-scene preset mode. So whatever situation you find yourself in, this is going to be a handy skill to have. Now the basic concept for a two-scene preset is that you have two banks of faders. And we'll take a look at the board in a second. But each bank can control all of your lights. So if you have 8 lights, you've got 8 faders on top and 8 faders on the bottom. What the two-scene preset allows you to do is to have one set live. That's what's going out to the stage. The other set is blind, where you can mess around with it as much as you want, and it's not going to affect whatever is going on stage. And then you can switch between the two. So that's what we're going to be exploring. Come on in. Here's an example of a two-scene preset board, a very simple one. This is an NSI Leviton MC716. You see up here you have 16 faders in the X bank, and down here you have 16 more faders in what's labeled the Y bank of faders. Then down here you'll see you have the master fader, goes from 0 to 10, and then you have 2 cross faders labeled X and Y, and you see you can slide those up and down. You notice that the X fader goes from 0 at the bottom to 10 at the top, but the Y fader is at 10 at the bottom and 0 at the top. That's so when both faders are up at the top, all of these X faders up here are live. Alright? And whatever you do here is going out to the stage. But because the Y crossfader is at 0, all of these sliders are in blind mode. So it doesn't matter what you do here, they're not going to affect what's going on the stage at any given moment. What then that allows you to do is do a smooth crossfade between the X bank and the Y bank, because you can just move those two sliders easily with one finger instead of trying to, do this in a consistent manner. That's what you'd have to do if it was 0 to 10 on both of these crossfaders. So here is our setup. We're looking at our controller and our stage. We've got 4 lights pointed at the stage. We've got a parcan. We have an ellipsoidal. We have some Christmas lights. And then we have an LED that has red, green, and blue. Alright? Now, at the top of the show, we're in blackout. But we'll want to have a little bit of color for when our first scene starts. So here's before the show. Let's say we're doing Little Red Riding Hood. So when the curtains open, we bring up our master, and this is our lighting for our opening scene. Now, for our second scene, we'll be at Grandma's house. Grandma's house is a little bit different setup. she's got more blue. So when we're ready to transition, this is going to be our lighting then for the second scene. And when we want to go to the second scene, we just bring our crossfaders down, and now we're at Grandma's house. Now, because we're in the Y bank of faders, see, changes that we make down here go live. We can make any changes that we want to up here in the X bank. So let's say that for our third scene, we're going to see the wolf. And the wolf has red, and he's got some real sharp edges over there on stage right. Then, again, we can make changes here in the Y for our next scene, where we're going to go back to Grandma's house. And then we can make changes in our next scene. Where the wolf comes to Grandma's house. So we get some red in there too. We get that wolf light. And then for our final scene, we've got the big climax. We'll have a lot of light and the Christmas lights on. And then for the bows, everything up full. And then blackout. And that's the end of our show. I just want to show you one other thing where you can actually use all of your lights at the same time by using both crossfaders. So right now we're in the queue for Grandma's house, right? We've got a little blue going, we've got our park hand lighting the stage. But what if the wolf comes in? And the wolf's lights, you see we have set up here in the X faders with that red. If we go ahead and bring the X bank up at the same time, you see how we get the wolf's light at the same time that we have Grandma's light. So we get that nice purple with the blue and the red blending, and we have the park hand, and we have the ellipsoidal. So we actually can bring up both banks at the same time if that's the effect that we want. Now, how do you keep track of which sliders you have up at any given time for which scenes? Well, you make a grid where you have each of your lights listed, all of your scene numbers, the setting for your master, and the setting for your X crossfader and your Y crossfader. You see, when we bring up for the preset, our master is at 0, X is at the top, Y is at the top, and then for that first scene, all we do is bring the master up to 10. For the next scene, you see, we go to the Y bank of faders, where Y is at 10, X is at 0. And these are the settings that we've established for that scene. And then you just go scene to scene setting the levels that you need for each of the lights, and then just crossfading back and forth, back and forth. And that's how you can keep track of the entire show. So that's a quick explanation of how to operate a two-scene preset board. Just try one when you get the chance, and you'll see that it really is pretty simple once you get the hang of it. Thanks for stopping by. Again, this is Keith Heron, Dr. Tectock, helping you through your lighting and sound issues. Have a great day.